Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. Every sperm is sacred. Every sperm is sacred. Did you know that the average male could produce approximately 252 billion sperms in their lifetime? And that upon one ejaculation, you guys can produce between 40 million and 1.2 billion sperm cells. Yeah, that's crazy. In comparison to us women, who have a mere 450 possible eggs that could be fertilized, it's daunting. Think of those numbers. One egg, one sperm, one time, and bam! Here we are. You're there, I'm here. It's a miracle. We are walking miracles. My seed planting took place in Minnesota in the 1950s. My mom and dad were really devout Catholics, and they got married later in life, in their 30s. So they had a lot of social and they had religious pressures to catch up with everybody, to have their family, because they were 10 years behind. So when I was conceived, towards the middle end of February of 1955, my mother had 3 children from 4 down. So I don't even have to tell you, you women, 1 baby, 2 babies, 3 babies, boom, 4th pregnancy. My mama was tired. She was tired. And I gestated in a cocktail of exhausted hormones. I grew inside her exhausted. And I gotta tell you, I do love a good nap whenever I can get out. Shortly after I was born, my mother and I had this routine where she would breastfeed me before she put the other kids down for sleep. My siblings, they vied for her attention. So I often got the short end of the deal. And I remember one of my eldest sisters said to me, you know, when Mom took you off the breast, you had this look on your face that was like, what? Shocked, and then you burst into tears and kept crying and crying and crying. As my mom whisked me off to that cold, dark room where I had to lay in the crib by myself and watching the light from the door being closed and the warmth and the last that I knew being shut out of me as my mom was saying, shh, 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 shh. Do you know what I learned during those first few years? I cried a lot. I cried on my back, I cried with my head turning to the side, then I cried when I rolled over on the whole side, and then I cried when I was on my hands and knees, and then finally when I was grabbing onto those posts of the crib, those wooden posts, bars. I learned 3 things. I learned that people that love me abandon me. And then I learned that I had to figure out my own self-soothing coping tools. And then somewhere I activated the independence gene and I never got married. So what I did was I ended up becoming a teacher, and I was a teacher to many children. And then later, my profession drew me into the healing profession, and my clients became my responsibilities. And then in the last 28 years, I've helped 2,500 babies come into the world until my world stopped. On August 19th, 2014, I was drawn into emergency care due to a cancer diagnosis. My kidneys were failing and I was dying. I received my first of 6 incredibly toxic chemo treatments and the first couple of a series of 8 surgeries that took me into the next year, August 2015. And even through all these adversities, I gotta tell you that cancer was a blessing in disguise. It really was a wake-up call for me to stop taking care of everybody in my life like my mother did when I was inside her. The good news I had to stop what I was doing, ask for help, receive that help. And that's really hard for me to do. The good news, I'm cancer-free.
Hey!
And a very curious fact about this, I've never been able to call myself a cancer survivor. Survivor to me means just getting by, just existing. And I was doing that 8 years before I was diagnosed with cancer. So I found when cancer came into my life, something kicked in called thrive. I started to blossom, bloom, flourish, expand. Things that never happened to me before started to happen to me. And during the 17 months of this journey, I have, well, I call it a rite of passage. I have developed these principles that have helped me to get through this into the thrive. And they're basically, start where you are. Feel what you're feeling. Be in gratitude, always, every day, all day. Learn to love what is when you're dealing with the discovery of the message in the mess. Stay curious. And know that you're enough.
Yeah.
And trust in something, whether it's God, whether it's you, whether it's your dog or cat, trust. And always keep wonder in your life, like the little kids do. Because when you do, you might just find that you move beyond survive in your life by shifting to thrive as another possibility. Toastmaster.